Hey, Jim, have you ever wondered why your sweat is salty?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. And like sweat, tears. It's like why is it all salty?
You're like outside on a hot summer day, you do this, and then you lick your lips and you get a little salt.
Yes, or like when you're sweating and then it gets in your eyes and your eyes are like kind of burning because it's a little too salty.
Well, my face doesn't really sweat, so those two things don't really happen to me very often. But lately, we've been
Right,
doing
right.
a lot of outside projects, and anytime I kiss Mason, I'm like, oh, gross.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
salty.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it kind of grosses me out.
That doesn't. I should clarify. I don't sweat personally, but these are the kind of stories I've heard from people.
No,
that...
my face really doesn't sweat. And that sounds like a blessing, but it is actually a curse because when you
Then
are
you're
hot,
right.
it's just like I have to splash water on my face
Yeah,
to cool it down. Okay, anyway.
yeah. I don't think my face sweats as much as other parts. Like I think it's like the top of my head mostly that really does the sweating, and it comes down.
I've never had the experience of sweat trickling down. That doesn't happen to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's not as good as it sounds.
My kids will get like sweat on their nose, like this little beads of sweat on their nose when we're
Never happened
outside.
to me.
It's so funny because I'm like, I don't think I get that, but maybe it's like a kid thing,
Yeah,
you know?
maybe so.
But anyway,
I don't know. Mason's been pretty sweaty in the hot summer heat, and I'm like, this is not cute.
so this is clearly just like a catching up kind of thing. So what's our lesson going to be about though? Probably something else, right?
Right. Yes. So, well, our lesson is going to be about why sweat is salty.
Nuh-uh.
Uh-huh.
Whoa. So
We're
you're tying it into the thing that you just happened to bring up?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
That's crazy. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about why your sweat is salty on this hot summer day.
Deal. I'm in.
Hey, I'm Melissa,
I'm Jam.
and I'm a chemist,
And I'm not.
and welcome to Chemistry for Your Life.
The podcast that helps you understand the chemistry of your everyday life, whether or not you sweat,
Whether or not.
or you just have friends that sweat, and you just, you want to learn about what they go through.
Right, yeah. I will say I did learn that there's different types of sweat glands in our bodies, and I think that I probably have the other kind on my face, but I don't have the kind that like it's hot and you're pouring sweat. That's just never happened. And I do have witnesses. Like I regularly will make Mason be like, feel my face.
Mm-hmm.
Feel my face right now. It's bone dry where yours is sweaty.
That's so crazy.
It is very crazy. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about how I'm a medical marvel.
You're right. The scientists can't believe that she exists. Speaking of scientists and something we haven't said in a while, when we say at the beginning of every episode that Melissa is a chemist and I'm not, she truly is a chemist.
Yeah.
3 times over, pretty much. She's
Crazy.
got bachelor's, master's, and PhD in chemistry. So
Isn't that wild?
she really, she's an expert that knows how to research about all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
If you have ever wondered how someone could be an expert in all things about chemistry and all these topics, that is hard. She knows how to research about them.
Yeah. Nobody is really, no expert has all the information at the tip of their fingers, but they do know everything they need to know to learn about those things. And then to promptly forget it. I'm just kidding. Okay. So we have done an episode on sweat before.
Okay.
We did an episode on how sweat cools us down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then didn't we have a Q&R once where like someone's girlfriend didn't sweat?
Yes.
That
Or their
was-
sweat didn't smell or something.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. It
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
smell.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, sorry, it suddenly got me. I just got a big yawn. Okay, so
Yeah, it's not like late at night or anything. Don't worry, guys.
we just passed over the threshold of my bedtime. So I feel like that's when it got me.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that episode, we talked mostly about evaporative cooling.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a re-release of that last week. So if you want to learn more, you can go check that out. But in that episode, I did mention that I wasn't going to talk about how the sweat got to the surface of the skin. That was like an episode for another day.
Right.
Which I'll do sometimes.
Yes.
I did recently with Polaroids.
Right.
And this is me finally getting to that episode.
Okay. Now it's another day.
It's another day.
Uh-huh.
And recently someone did ask me, why is sweat salty?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked all over for that. And I'm like, did I dream it? but I can't find it. I searched in our inbox. I searched my text messages. I searched on Instagram. I can't find it.
Okay, wow.
So I'm sorry to whoever that was. Or maybe it came to me in a dream.
Maybe so. If that was you, let us know. We'd love to credit you.
I would love to, yes. So I figured it was time to do it. And it's a good, timely episode because it's summer and it's hot and gross.
Yeah, here in Texas, we sweat from like late April to early November.
Yeah, and sometimes
late October,
a flash sweat in December.
Yeah, that's
can't
right.
happen. Yeah.
I'm interested.
All right.
I've not really like, I've thought about how whenever you are like hooked up to an IV and you're given fluids, it's always going to be saline. It's like they have it, formulated just the right amount or whatever. And then our tears are salty. That's what's salty. And I've kind of just thought like, I guess like as far as I've gotten, it's like, I guess our body just kind of likes that. But I don't know. It doesn't really seem, nothing intuitively makes sense beyond that.
I think it's going to make sense when we talk about it.
Okay.
To me, this one's like, oh, that checks out. That was how I felt researching about it.
Nice.
Okay. So glands on our bodies are organs that produce substances.
Okay.
So that's like sweat, hormones, milk. Those all come from glands.
Okay.
And today we'll be focusing obviously on sweat glands. And there are 3 types of sweat glands.
Okay.
There's only one that we're going to talk about today, but there are others that produce like fats and pheromones and things that contribute to body odor. And a lot of them develop as you're going through puberty. But there are some that you have since you're a baby and you start sweating when you're like toddling age, when you're a few years old.
Okay.
But you always have these. They never change. Okay. And these are primarily responsible for just regular old sweat, hot sweat. I'm hot. I'm sweating. There are between 2 and 4 million of these sweat glands throughout your body.
Wow.
And they're the most densely populated in your hands and your feet.
Okay.
Of course, they're in other regions too, like your armpits, but some of the other sweat glands are also in your armpits.
Right. So this particular kind is pretty dense in our hands and feet.
Yes. Yeah.
And everywhere else.
Wow. And I'll just cut to the chase here and say essentially sweat is salty because salt is responsible for how the sweat is moved from the glands to the surface.
Whoa.
So sweat is generated by a microfluid network in the skin that's called interstitial fluid. There's like a bunch of liquid in between the skin.
Okay.
And around the cells, in between cells. This is called interstitial fluid.
Okay.
And there are scientists who study microfluids and how fluids flow. And they've done a lot of calculations on how sweat likely flows through the body. But this is the best model that I found for sweat.
Okay.
And the best way I could think of it is these glands have like tubes that are kind of like little straws. These are called lumen.
Okay.
And they link sort of the lower layers of the skin to the surface of the skin.
Okay.
And to me, these glands look like upside down crazy straws.
Huh.
You know how like at the top of crazy straws, there's like all these loop-de-loops? If you flip those over, the loop-de-loops are at the bottom, and then there's a long tube that goes up.
Okay.
Now, the loop-de-loop is buried in your lower layers of skin, and the long tube goes up to the surface of the skin.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So that tube is called the lumen, and I believe that there's already interstitial fluid in there just when we're starting.
Okay.
And it's surrounded by cells.
Okay.
Okay. So these fluids, typically interstitial fluids and like fluids within cells, because of osmosis, which we've talked about before, they want to have equal concentrations.
Okay.
This is very much simplifying. I'm not a biochemist, but when you have salt on one side, if you have salt water over here and you have fresh water over here, if there's a solid membrane between them, nothing can pass between them. And so that's it. They just don't interact with each other.
Okay.
But if you suddenly make that membrane semi-permeable, where salt can flow through it or the water can flow through it, then we'll start to get the solution trying to arrange itself in a way that they're as close to equal as possible.
Okay.
So we've talked about that before, the idea of osmosis. And basically, if there's like a lot of salt over here and a little salt over here, then the water will move to try to make the concentrations equal. And that really happens in all of chemistry, is trying to just like distribute itself out.
Right.
Okay.
Things like to be evened out and dispersed if they can.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got your crazy straw and it's surrounded by cells and they're in this nice equilibrium.
Okay.
You know? And when our brain thinks that we need to sweat, either because it's hot or we're nervous or something else, you know, our brain's like, send in the troops. We gotta do something here. And that will cause positively charged calcium ions to go into the cells around that lumen.
Okay.
And so then when that happens, then the body's like, oh, we've got an imbalance. And so then it triggers more things to happen. There's like channels that salts have to go through. It's very biochemistry heavy. But essentially then there's an excess of NaCl that will go into the lumen.
Okay.
And so it has a higher osmotic pressure. And so, and it just, I think, starts to overflow with water a little bit. There's more water going into this area because we're trying to even out the sodium chloride. And so we're starting to push water into that tube to get the concentrations even on both sides.
Okay.
And the more water we push into our tube, into our crazy straw, the more it gets filled up. And eventually the pressure of that water will force it, the salt water in that lumen, up, 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 up until it spills out onto our skin.
See, okay.
And so really the salt being in the water causes this osmosis, pulling water out of the cells around it. And that forces it's like, okay, now there's lots of water in this tube that doesn't really belong. And so it starts to force it up and out. Got
it. So the water from the cells can cross whatever barrier from the cells into the tube. So it's not just drawing it from like the bottom of the straw. It's also drawing it from the side all the way up.
Yep.
Okay.
You're getting more. And I don't know if it's just interstitial fluid that like gets redistributed or, you know, that wasn't clear to me, but I think it's coming from the cells and secreting into it. And it does, water gets put in. I do know this. I definitely read this. Like water is entering into that lumen all the way up until it gets to the surface of the skin.
Okay.
And so it's salty because the salt being there is what triggers this movement.
Okay.
Is essentially you got to get salt in there.
Okay.
But here's the crazy thing. If that was the end of the story, we'd be losing all of our salt.
Right. We need that salt.
We need it because it does things like help us cry, help us sweat, help us regulate our body temperature. And it turns out that there's actually little pumps at the top that will pull the electrolytes back out right as it's getting to the top of the tube.
Wow.
And so you're not getting very much salt lost in your sweat, even though it feels like a lot.
Right. Yeah, and I guess if you really did like somehow like wring out your shirt, it's like the amount of sweat we probably really excrete is like not very many ounces of water.
Yeah.
Because it's like a thin layer all over, right? And so how much salt could really be in there?
Well, and it's evaporating, but the salt stays behind. So I think it gets more and more concentrated.
I see. Yeah.
And so sometimes it feels like we're so salty.
Yeah.
But I think it's not because there's so much salt in every single drop of sweat. I think it's that you've had so much sweat form over the course of the day and you just haven't rinsed it away.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
I know. Here's something else really interesting and crazy. Because of that interstitial fluid being present in salt, there are other metabolites that can give us clues as indicators of our overall health.
Okay.
And so people are using like wearable technology to determine, like using your sweat to see like, all right, what's my blood alcohol level at? And your sweat can give a pretty accurate number for that.
Interesting.
And there are other like cystic fibrosis, one of the things that happens as a result of that is your calcium ions are not calcium. Your chloride ions aren't regulated well. And so if you have like a lot more chloride in your sweat than you're supposed to, that they can use that to diagnose cystic fibrosis.
Wow.
I know.
Interesting.
And then I'm like, oh, your sweat is like fully a bodily fluid.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I know.
It kind of seems like it's a little lower on the totem pole of bodily fluids until you say all that.
Yeah, I thought it was just water, but it's like, oh, it's got other things in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, oh, it's just salty because it's like the water in our body is salty once we've had a chance to.
I mean, that is kind of true.
Yeah. Here's a question. Wait, so earlier when you said earlier in the explanation, you did say calcium ions. Was it supposed to be?
No, it is calcium ions go to the cell.
Got it. Okay, cool.
And then that triggers like, oh, once you have calcium ions, then you can get negatively charged chlorine atoms. And then the negatively charged chlorine atoms will bring sodium and potassium. And so there's a lot of ion channels that happen in our bodies that biochem.
Well, probably why I asked that was because you just corrected yourself about the cystic fibrosis. So I was thinking like, oh, wait, let me ask this while I'm thinking about it. Was that the correct
That was the correct ion.
Cool.
But there is a whole chain, and you can always go look in our references to see more about it. But another reference that I used equally summarized it as like, honestly, all these salt chains, they're not as super important, but just the main thing is that essentially the lumen starts to fill with water as a result of it being filled with excess sodium chloride.
I see.
And then it has an increased osmotic pressure, which results in it pumping up out of the crazy straw to the surface of our skin.
Okay, got it. Interesting.
And so it's essentially because of osmosis.
Wow, it's like osmosis that's caused on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously, if nothing else was changing, that interstitial fluid would just be sitting, filling the lumen, but not overflowing it.
Right.
All would be fine. Because like, we can use some osmosis to our advantage here.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think our body does that a lot.
Right. Man, our bodies really know what they're doing, don't they?
Listen, I literally had that thought. As I was reading this, I was like, this is crazy. And then when I got to the part about like, and then the salt gets pumped back out, I was like, how do we learn how to do all of this? And then I actually was looking up like some of the ideas of the evolution of this, and it's not well understood. So isn't that fascinating?
Very fascinating.
But it's like, so, okay, now because we sweat, we can like adapt to really hot temperatures.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I know. And it's kind of simple. It's like, oh, just because the body wants to even out these two, like water wants to flow so that there's not a higher concentration in one area than another.
Yeah.
And then that puts pressure, and then there we go.
And it's crazy to think about the fact that maybe there's an awareness in, so back to the evolutionary perspective, that in some way our body's doing this. Our bodies either know, or it's just one of those things that survival of the fittest happened or whatever, that evaporative cooling is a thing. You know what I mean? It's almost like, who told our bodies that if you get this out on the skin,
I know,
this is what happens when you have like, a hot temperature and you have some moisture on a surface and it can evaporate and cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And because of colligative properties, which we've talked about before, is that salt will actually help the sweat be able to take more heat away with it.
Right.
Because it's salty.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I know.
It's so weird. It's like, who told you lumen? Who told you interstitial fluid?
I know.
And cells around it that this would work?
I know.
Like, or was it just a wild guess,
So it's basically like we just have these little straws that fill up with water and spill out, and the salt is part of the reason that they fill up with water and then spill out.
Man.
And that's it. It's I feel like kind of simple.
It is simple, but in a refreshing,
Yeah.
like cooling off on a hot day kind of way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was great. Yes.
Dang.
Well, do you want to try to say it back to me, or do you feel like it's, you got it pretty good?
I'll do it because I don't think it'll take very long and it'll verify if I misunderstood anything or not. So we got all these glands all over. I mean, we've got glands for days on our bodies. Amen?
All over. Yeah.
So these particular
millions. Like you could say we're a billionaire probably when it comes to glands.
Heck yeah, dude. That's the only kind of billionaire I'm ever gonna be. That I guess, and just generally like cells,
Yeah.
I've got a lot of glands. I got a lot of cells. I got a lot of. How many hairs do you think we have? Billions?
I don't know.
If you count the hairs on every other part of our skin.
Probably millions, right? At least. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's good to be rich in something. And one kind of sweat gland in particular we're talking about. What did you say what they're called, or does it not matter? The different kinds of sweat gland? Like the three
No,
kinds?
I didn't say what they're called.
Oh, okay.
I can. The eccrine glands are the ones that we've talked about. The
eccrine.
I think that's how you say it. ECCRINE. Eccrine. But then the other ones, apocrine and apocrine and apoeccrine.
Interesting. So this particular kind of sweat gland is like a upside down crazy straw.
Uh-huh.
It is, but a little unlike a crazy straw. It can be filled with fluid from the cells all around it, not just in its like terminals, like its entrance and exit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is straight at the top toward the surface of our skin, curly at the bottom, kind of in the lower layers of our skin.
Mm-hmm.
It, when we are at a temperature where our bodies think we may need some help cooling down, it triggers all of these cells send calcium ions closer to sort of the like sides where the tube, the crazy straw is called a lumen, correct?
It's the calcium into the clear, like the cells that are right by, they're called clear cells that are right by the lumen. Basically like the plastic around the crazy straw.
Yeah, okay.
Influx of calcium in that area.
And that ends up, because of that, triggering the chlorine ions to come balance that out, basically?
Yes, essentially. And there's like several steps in between that, but the influx of chlorine ultimately will bring the influx of calcium ultimately will bring chlorine into the lumen, the cells in the lumen.
Into the lumen, which will already have the sodium with it, or will buddy up with some sodium?
It'll buddy up with some sodium.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy up with some sodium.
It also likely buddies up with calcium, with potassium, and there's also some other negative probably ions as well, like I can never remember if it's carbonate or bicarbonate. I'm pretty sure it's carbonate.
Okay.
CO3 minus. So there's other negative things as well.
Okay. So these things starts a whole mess of things going on. And because of the increased presence of these things and the desire in the world of chemistry, I guess in just the world period, for things to be in balance if they can be, it wants to send more fluid in because there's this higher concentration of these, like, of salt and potassium and whatever else. But the thing that we're focusing on right now is the salt that we can tell is there, the one we can taste.
Yep, NaCl mostly.
NaCl mostly. And so that starts to fill the lumen with more fluid than it can really hold.
Yep.
So it starts sending some, or just naturally starts oozing, or whatever you want to call it.
Pumping is the word that most of these papers use. And some of them said it was through capillary action. But others indicated it was because of maybe just like the overfilling of the lumen, essentially, is like, and because that pressure builds up, then it has space to go.
Yeah, it's got to come out somewhere, and so it comes out on the surface of our skin,
Mm-hmm.
in all of these places all over, or, some of us not on our face, but
Yeah.
in all of these sweat glands. And as that's happening at the same time, it is retrieving the salt
At the top.
right?
Mm-hmm.
As it's coming out, so that we're not losing as much salt, which we need and want to hang on to.
Yeah.
Still a little bit that we can tell is there, which also helps in the evaporative cooling because of the colligative properties, right?
Exactly.
And so,
which we do have an episode on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's called "Why Didn't Jam's Pot Ever Boil?"
And then we have a deep dive on the evaporative cooling as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we've kind of completed the picture on this whole deal. That's
and I
crazy.
will say, when it's in the straw, it's called preliminary sweat.
Okay.
And like I said, some things say that it moves up because of capillary action, which we've talked about that on the episode about how trees drink water,
Mm-hmm.
But then others say that because of all the water coming in, that has pressure, which forces the fluid up from the coil into, they call it the coil, but into the lumen, like the crazy straw.
Yeah.
And forces it to go up near where the skin is, and then as the salt is reabsorbed, whatever is left over, that is actually sweat. So the liquid in there is sometimes referred to as preliminary sweat because it's almost treated one last time before it leaves your body by those sodium chloride ions reabsorbing.
Okay.
So that's it. It's just literally, it's just like, hey, we pump salt into this area, which makes your body say, hey, we should do osmosis. And then you overflow a straw. I mean, it's obviously not that simple, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. Wow.
I know.
Man, this is, yeah. It's
cool,
like,
huh?
It's simple enough to be like, wow, that's cool. And not take tons of episodes just to get the basic idea of it or whatever.
Yeah.
But also is, certainly more complicated than.
Yeah, there's a lot of electrical things happening and like electrons moving in these salt channels. And I actually think Claire would be probably a really good person to talk about
nice.
that. But that wasn't something that I felt like was worth diving into too much today because it's like the main idea is the osmosis
Okay.
is what brings the water into that tube, and then that tube sort of overflows onto our skin.
Okay.
Because our body knows how to put the right ions where it needs to go.
Well, go bodies.
Go bodies. Kind of fun, huh?
Yes, definitely fun. Definitely relatable. Definitely everyday life for sure.
What was the last time you sweated more? This is your category. What was the last time you sweated like too much? You're like, this is too much.
I do think that on one of the hikes that Em and I were on our trip a couple months ago, that we, I remember getting sweaty enough to where like my eyes were burning. Like that's what happens where it's like I've sweated some, so there's still some salt just on my skin, and I sweat again and again. And if it happens to where like it usually only happens on days like this where I've had several sort of like sessions of sweating without a chance to really like clean or whatever, that if it gets in my eyes, it burns, and then it triggers your like tear ducts.
Yeah.
And so then it's like this weird cycle of, oh man, my eyes are watering, which is trying to help, but is introducing a little bit more salt, but also it's creating more moisture, which is kind of pulling in more salt from like
the situation,
the area right around my eyes that also has salt just kind of
and you reach up
out
there.
Yeah. So it's hard. It's like the best way to do that is to get like something that's not soaked in sweat.
Yeah.
And just be able to really just like wipe away, and then hope your eyes stop watering. But it's not like, it's not the worst in the world, but it's just those are the times where I think of like that. It wasn't just about the amount of sweat that got me. It was did it end up causing my eyes to burn or not? Because if it does that, I will notice and remember it. But in other scenarios, I don't really find myself getting like, man, I'm just drenched, dripping.
Yeah.
I don't think I sweat as much as some people do.
Yeah.
Where I'm like soaking through clothes or something like that.
There is something I read in that like genetics can relate to how much you sweat.
I believe that, especially, I mean, it's news to me that you could not sweat from your face. Like that's.
Listen, I have witnesses.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you. I'm just like,
it's weird.
That's gotta be genetic, right?
I've tried to look it up and I can't find good evidence on it. I'll say this though. My recent sweating escapade is our garage smelled really bad, so we had to paint it. We did primer and then painted over it. And I was painting the ceiling. And it was in a garage. And it's summer in Texas.
Yep.
And you're just lifting your hands over your head, so that's hard. And then you have to close the garage door to get behind it. You know, to get the roof where it was.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever sweat that much in my life. It was, and Mason did it the day before, and I was like, why are you so sweaty, man? His shirt was it was a light blue color, and he had so much sweat that it was dark blue all the way to where it hit his shorts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, just not just in the areas the armpits and neck or something like that. It's
his
gone all the way.
Shirt, he took it off and it slapped the floor.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was gross.
It'd be crazy if you could weigh yourself before and after that. Be how much fluid did I just lose? You know.
And I was like, "What? Why did you sweat so much? That's so weird." And then the next day, I did the same exact thing, and I was like, "Okay,
dude,
I get it."
You should borrow that. I mean, I guess you're probably done now. You should borrow that fan. We have that huge
We did.
one.
We had a fan out there, and it was still.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna do everything, but at least help some of the evaporative cooling actually happen where some air is moving.
Oh yeah. So anyway, that was my recent sweat story.
Dang, dude.
Yeah. So
that's real,
very
right
interesting. And I did find an article whenever I was looking this up that was going through some of the sweat stuff, and I always like to look at the authors or whatever. And one of them was by a PepsiCo research and developer, and I was like, why would they want to do a thing about sweat? And then I was reading the introduction, it talked a little bit about whether or not we lose salt in appreciable amounts when we sweat. And I was like, oh, that's why. It's because they make Powerade or Gatorade, whichever one.
Oh, they make Powerade. I think you're right.
So it's they would have a vested interest in people believing that they need to replenish electrolytes. And I was like, all right, going somewhere else now. I included it in my references, but I didn't focus on that one too much because I was like, I'm suspicious. They probably aren't lying about the mechanism of salt, but they might. Some of their conclusions could be sus. So I altered my path.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a fun tidbit.
Yeah, that is.
All right. Well, thanks for talking about this gross topic with me today.
Well, thanks for teaching us about this gross topic. And I'm sure there's more than one person who's listening to this episode while they're mowing the lawn or something. And so
in a hot car in the summer.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. Or whatever you do if you're hopefully, I hope that you are able to do this at different times of day. But if you're someone whose job requires you to be in people's attics and stuff like that.
Ooh, yeah.
I feel for you right now. And our hearts go out to you. And this episode is for you.
Send us a picture of your sweaty shirts.
But it is, well, yeah. Within reason, maybe.
Within reason, yeah.
But it is cool to learn about something so everyday, so relatable. So tomorrow, for instance, this will happen to me inevitably.
Yeah.
At some point.
Then you'll know that osmosis is happening in your favor.
Know. I'll be a little more thankful for the fact that we get to sweat, Yeah. So thanks for teaching us. If you have a question about this or anything, if you have a follow-up, correction, something, idea for a totally different episode, reach out to us on our website at chemforyourlife.com. That's chemforyourlife.com to share thoughts and ideas with us. If you'd like to help us keep our show going and contribute to cover the cost of making it, you can join our super cool Chem community of patrons on patreon.com/chemforyourlife. That's patreon.com/chemforyourlife. You get an ad-free feed of the show. You get a bonus episode every month. You get to see some behind-the-scenes stuff. And you get thank yous from us where we just thank you for keeping the show going, keeping it free for everybody else. And so we'd love you to consider joining our Chem community. We get to know you a little bit better. You get to know us a little bit better. It's a win-win. And everyone else is also thankful for you because you keep the show going and keep it free. But if you're not able to do that, you can still help us by subscribing on your favorite podcast app, rating, writing, review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, buying some merch on our website at campforyourlife.com/store. Little hat here, little sweatshirt there, bunch of other things on there as well. And we add things throughout the year, including some seasonal stuff, which comes up in the spooky season and the holiday season in December. So I'd be looking for those things. Those are great ways to represent chemistry and to support the show. So any way you choose, we are thankful and appreciative, and we've given you some options. So thank you.
I was just thinking about the little hat that you made me that has a ghost holding an Erlenmeyer flask and how cute that is. I don't know if we have that officially for hat merch, but we definitely have it for shirt merch.
That's like an exclusively Melissa only. There's one in the world.
So cute. I'm obsessed with it. Okay, sorry. I was thinking about that and it was like, oh, it's my turn.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's not exactly accurate. You're the only one who has an embroidered one, but a printed hat is
you can get in the store.
Is available, or will be, I should say, during spooky season. So.
Nice. This episode of Chemistry for Your Life was created by me, Melissa Collini, and him, Jam Robinson. Jam Robinson is our producer, and this episode was made possible, like Jam said, by our financial supporters on Patreon. So we would love to give a shout out to each and every one of them. So we want to thank Chris S., Hunter R., Katrina B., Lynn S., Scott B., Stephen B., Timothy P., Vince W., Ash, Brian K., Chelsea M., Doreen V., Elizabeth P., Emily H., Heather R., John T., Jesse R., Latila, Rachel R., Autoclave, Avishai B., Chelsea B., Sierra L., Cullen R., Emerson W., Erica B., Jacob T., Jeanette N., Julie S., Justine, Christina G., Suzanne P., and Venus R. Thank you all so much for everything that you do to make Chemistry for Your Life happen. And if you have any questions or want to learn more about our episodes, you can check out our references in our show note on our website or in the description of the video.
Yay, chemistry!
Yay, sweat!